You think betrayal breaks a man. It doesn't. It reveals him. The night I found out my wife was cheating, I didn't scream. I didn't confront her. I didn't even cry. I let her think she was winning. For 6 months, I smiled at her every morning. While she planned her future with another man, she thought she was about to walk away with half my empire. She didn't know, I had already removed her from it. And the day she realized the truth, that was the day she understood something too late. I wasn't the victim, I was the lesson. Stay until the end, because what happened in that courtroom changed everything. I found out my wife was cheating, and the strange thing is, I didn't break the way most men do. I didn't scream. I didn't throw anything. I didn't confront her in rage. I went quiet. There was a time when she was my entire world. Not in a weak way, in a powerful way. The kind of love where you wake up early just to watch her sleep peacefully. The kind where you plan 5 years ahead with her name attached to every dream. We built a life that looked perfect from the outside. High-rise apartment overlooking the city lights. Weekend dinners at expensive restaurants. Smiling photos. Celebrations. Matching outfits at weddings. People used to say we were couple goals. But what people don't understand is this: perfection in public can hide distance in private. The distance didn't happen overnight. It crept in slowly, like cold air under a closed door. She stopped reaching for my hand first. She stopped asking about my day. She started smiling at her phone more than she smiled at me. At first, I ignored it. Because when you truly love someone, your brain becomes their defense lawyer. You create excuses for behavior that doesn't make sense. She's stressed. She's tired. Work must be overwhelming. And maybe part of me already knew, but I wasn't ready to admit it. The night that changed everything was silent. I remember waking up randomly. The bed felt lighter, empty on one side. I checked the time, 2:17 a.m. The apartment was dark, but there was a faint glow coming from the balcony. I walked slowly, my chest strangely calm. She was standing outside, wrapped in a thin robe, whispering into her phone. I couldn't hear the words clearly, but I heard the tone. Soft, intimate, alive. Then she laughed, and that laugh, it wasn't for me. I stood there for a few seconds, unseen. Something inside me shifted permanently. Not shattered, shifted. I went back to bed without saying a word. And from that moment on, I started observing instead of loving blindly. You see, anger makes men careless. Silence makes them dangerous. Over the next few weeks, patterns became obvious. She had late meetings, more often. Gym sessions stretched longer. She started dressing differently, not for me, but for someone who wasn't me. One evening, her phone lit up while she was in the shower. I wasn't trying to snoop. It was just there on the table. The screen glowed in the dim room. A name appeared, with a red heart beside it. My eyes stayed on it for maybe 3 seconds. That was enough. My heartbeat didn't speed up. My hands didn't tremble. Instead, a strange clarity washed over me. It felt like the final confirmation of something my soul already knew. That night, I didn't confront her. I made a decision. If she was playing a game, I would change the rules. The next morning, I kissed her forehead before leaving for work. She smiled like nothing had changed. But everything had. While she was investing emotions elsewhere, I began protecting my future. Quietly, strategically, I reviewed our financial structure. Most assets were already in my name because of how my business was set up, but there were shared properties. Joint accounts, investments. I scheduled meetings with my lawyer under the excuse of corporate restructuring. I didn't mention divorce. I didn't mention betrayal. I simply prepared ownership transfers, trust adjustments, asset protection strategies. Every signature I signed felt like placing a brick in a wall she didn't know was being built. At home, I remained calm, gentle, predictable. I watched her closely. Affairs thrive on secrecy and excitement. Eventually, excitement demands escalation. And it did. She became impatient with me. Small arguments started. She accused me of being distant, which was ironic. "You've changed," she said one evening. I looked at her calmly. "Have I? You don't talk like you used to." I almost laughed. A few weeks later, she said the words I expected. "I think we need space." I nodded slowly. "If that's what you want." She looked confused by my calm reaction. Maybe she expected resistance. Maybe she wanted drama to justify her choices. But I gave her none. Soon after, she asked for divorce formally. She sat across from me at the dining table, the same table where we once planned vacations, and explained how she felt, unfulfilled. How she needed to find herself. How we had grown apart. I listened carefully, and then I said, if divorce is what you truly want, I won't stop you. For a split second, something flickered in her eyes. Doubt, fear, I'm not sure, but it passed. She thought she was walking away with half my empire. She didn't know the empire had already been fortified. The court process began. She walked into the first hearing looking confident. Designer outfit, perfect makeup, controlled posture. Her lawyer presented financial claims confidently. My lawyer calmly slid a folder across the table. Inside were updated documents, revised ownership structures, legal transfers finalized months prior. Accounts separated. The silence in that room was heavier than any argument we could have had at home. Her expression changed slowly as she read. Confusion, shock, realization. She looked at me for the first time in months, truly looked at me. I held her gaze, calm, emotionless. The judge reviewed everything. Legally, everything was clean. Strategic, but clean. She wasn't walking away with half. She was walking away with what she brought. And the other man, well, once he realized there was no fortune attached to her name, his presence faded. Excitement disappears when reality enters the room. The divorce finalized quietly. No public drama, no explosive fights, just signatures. Months passed. For the first time in years, my apartment felt different. Empty, but peaceful. Pain still existed. I won't lie. Betrayal doesn't disappear overnight, but the anger had never controlled me, so it didn't consume me either. I focused on rebuilding myself emotionally. I worked harder, traveled more, reconnected with old friends I had neglected during marriage. One afternoon, nearly a year later, I saw her again. It wasn't planned. A small cafe across town. She was sitting alone by the window. No designer glow, no confident aura, just quiet. Life had clearly been less generous after the excitement faded. She looked up and saw me. Our eyes met. For a moment, time paused. There was something in her expression I hadn't seen before. Regret, not for losing money, not for losing status, but for losing certainty. I walked past her table. I didn't stop, I didn't speak, and in that moment, I realized something powerful. She didn't ruin me, she revealed herself, and sometimes, that's the greatest gift betrayal can give you, clarity. Revenge isn't always loud. Sometimes, it's simply letting someone face the consequences of their own choices, while you quietly move forward. I loved her once, truly, but the version of her I loved no longer existed. And as I stepped outside into the sunlight, I didn't feel victorious. I felt free, because the most powerful thing a man can do is stay silent while the truth does all the damage. And that's how she ruined herself. Not because I destroyed her, but because I stopped protecting her from the consequences of her own decisions. And I never looked back.